Fair. We'll start promptly at 5:30 with showmanship. We do have an adjustments to the schedule. Junior showmanship, class 3 and 4 will be combined. Class 3 and 4 will be combined. Also, class 8, the best dressed meat goat, will go after the meat goat contest. So class 8 will follow the meat goat contest. Again, first call, senior showmanship, class 1. First call, senior showmanship, class 1. Thank you. Test. go ahead and get started. Class 1, Senior Showmanship. Again, welcome to the 2026 Meat Goat Show here at the Gage County Fair. Well, first call for Class 2. First call, Class 2. While we get started today, we'll go ahead and introduce our judge. Our judge is Danielle Funk. She grew up showing cattle, sheep, and goats. She lives in Omaha currently, but she is from Marshall, Missouri, where her family has 30 registered goats and a sale every March. She works as a quality and safety manager at Purina in Fremont, and she has been judging for about 10 years all over the country and is a certified ABGA judge. Welcome, Danielle Funk. We'll have second call for Class 2 seniorship. Class 2, second call.
just want to thank you guys for having me out today. Been a wild summer for me, so this is actually my second show this week. Thankfully, I'm in my normal time zone. So at the beginning of the week, I was in Massachusetts judging, and now I'm all the way here, close to home, so it's kind of nice to get a one-day trip. Came out, asked some basic questions, either what the age was or what the weight was on their animal, and then what they fed. I think there was one individual out here that just did it really well. I'll go out and I'll select your top 4, but you guys all did an amazing job, and I'm excited to see you guys back later too.
Receiving champion senior showman is Lila Oshwild, and reserve champion senior showman is Lena Oshwild. Receiving purple is Reagan Pfeiffer, Elizabeth Rice, and Bentley Myers. Now entering the ring will be intermediate showmanship. First call, class 3 and 4. Combining again, class 3 and 4. All juniors will be shown together. Following junior showmanship will Pee-wee showmanship. Pee-wee showmanship will be following. So littles, find a friend and find a goat.
Another really nice set of kids out here doing a phenomenal job. Just asked them some basic questions again, what their weight or their age was, and then how long have they been showing goats. You guys are putting in a lot of hard work here. I'll go out and I'll select your top 4. Let's give these guys all a round of applause.
Receiving champion intermediate showman is Corbin Kunk. Reserve champion intermediate showman is Grant James. Third intermediate is Henry Rasser. And fourth is Jack Oshwild. Receiving purple is Brendan Tim, Landon Swanson, Morgan Rice. Now entering the ring is all of juniors. All juniors should be entering the ring. Again, reminder, right following the junior class, showmanship will be Pee-wee. Pee-wees will be following. need, after juniors are done, we'll need senior and intermediate, the top 4 from each division, to come back for overall.
Let's give these guys a round of applause. They're doing an amazing job out here. I always love working with the juniors, and I usually take a little bit longer with them just because these are the ones that are going to be up and coming in the industry, and I love to see that this industry is sticking around through all the years. They're doing a phenomenal job. I'll go out and I'll select your top 4.
Receiving champion junior showmanship is Blake Tim. Reserve champion, Emma Wallenberg. Third junior showman is Briar Myers. And fourth junior is Emma Lane. Receiving purples is Brinley Pfeiffer, Leo Rasser, Mila Vasquez, Hudson Swanson, Silas Rasser, and Avery Keedy.
I don't think you got that right.
This is a really cool thing that we don't get to do back home, and so I think it would be a really cool opportunity to be able to see where I would have stood growing up. I'm one that's just been an ultra competitive person in the show ring, and I think there's one individual out here that really mimics how I was growing up. You can tell that they do the work, their animal hardly moves, and their eye contact is really impeccable. I'll go out and I'll select your top 4 out of here. Let's give these guys all a round of applause.
Receiving overall champion showman is Emma Wallenberg. Corbin Kunk. Third overall is Lila Ashwell. And fourth is Lena Ashwell. Congratulations. Let's give everyone a round of applause. Next up is Pee Wee. Everyone. Pee Wee is sponsored by Farm Credit Services of America, and we'll be handing out some prize bags at the end. Grab a friend and grab a goat. Also, I would like to congratulate Security First Bank. They have been sponsoring the overall champion showman and reserve rewards for over 80 years. Following Pee Wee, we will start with the breeding meat goat doe. Class 1 Boer kids, Class 1 first call. Class 1 Boer goats, kids, Class 1 first call. those that are not able to join us here in person, you can watch on YouTube. We'd like to give a special thank you to Farmers National Company for sponsoring the barn broadcast. Again, Farmers National, thank you.
Believe it or not, none of them wanted to talk on the microphone tonight the whole way down, but they're all doing a really good job. Let's give them all a round of applause.
All right. Are we ready to enter Class 1? Board kids, there should be 5 contestants. We'll have first call for Class 2 and 3. First call for Class 2 and 3. Got second call for Class 2 and Class 3. Concluding after the Class 3, we will have Grand and Reserve registered board goats.
A really nice class here to start off, and my top two here are polar opposites in terms of type and kind, but for me, I gravitate towards the darker headed doe up front, one that just simply balances up better from the side. I enjoy her more from her last rib forward. I love how the extension and how she ties into her shoulder, how long and level designed she is. Just one that's just a little bit more in terms of my type and kind. Really nice one here to start off the class. The doe that comes out in second. One that's really broody in terms of her type. You love her in terms of her center body and how much rib shape she has. For me, I'd like to bring her up in terms of her neck set, tuck her in neater and more youthful in terms of her chest floor, but one that just has so much rib shape and top side. I think you fix her up in terms of her front end. Really a phenomenal doe here to come out in second. The doe that comes out here in third. One that really surprises you on the handle, especially right behind the shoulders. One that has tons of shape right there. For me, I'd like to see her be up a little bit more in terms of her pasterns, get out and go on a little bit longer stride, and give her a little bit more stoutness in terms of her pin set for how much she has up high. Really nice doe to come out here in third. The young lady that comes out here with the traditional doe, one you like in terms of structure, goes out on a really long, consistent stride. For me, I'd like to see her go on a wider base. She wants to narrow up in terms of her front, but one you really enjoy in terms of length of body, structure, and femininity. Really nice doe to come out next. The doe that rounds out the class here, one you like in terms of her angles up front. From behind is where I'd like to fix her. She wants to round out in terms of her tail and wants to get underneath of herself as she goes away. Fix her in terms of structure there. One that's going to really be really nice when you turn her out to pasture and go and produce some does for her later on. Let's give these guys a round of applause.
Receiving first purples, Grant James, Mila Vasquez. Receiving blue ribbons, Elizabeth Rice, Morgan Rice, and Emma Wallenberg. Now entering the ring is Class 2. Final call, Class 3, final call. Following Class 3, we will be picking our grand and reserve registered doe.
A young lady brings us out another one in this class that's very similar to the one she had in the previous one. You really enjoy this one in terms of rib shape and stoutness and pin set. For me, I'd like to fix her in terms of her shoulder. She wants to get a little bit more open on the top side of that, but one that's just a super long, big centered doe. Really nice single entry here. Let's give her a round of applause.
Entering the ring is Class 3. First class, Class 4. First call, Class 4. Following the selection of Class 3, we will have the Grand and Reserve registered breeding doe. Top 2 from Class 1 and 2 will come back. Be ready, ringside, please.
Senior does are usually one of my favorites to show and be able to judge, just simply because they're out in production. You can see them what they're for, and then see their udder and how well they maintain themselves and their body condition, and then to be able to bring them back out and show is something that's a little difficult, especially to keep body condition on them. The young lady up front with the solid red doe has done a phenomenal job with her doe, one that's absolutely perfect in terms of body condition in this class. I love this doe on the move, one that just collects herself just ever so perfectly, goes out on a really long consistent stride and carries herself really well. Really nice doe to win the class here. The doe that comes out here in second, the dapple doe, one you like in terms of length of body, how she reads in terms of her angles. For me, when you get comparative, I just wish she had more to her compared to the one ahead of her. Wish she had a little bit more shape in terms of her leg, but a really nice one to come out here next. A little bit more moderate doe in the paint doe to round out the class. One that's really broody in terms of her kind. For me, I'd like to trim her up in terms of her condition, especially towards her front 1/3. She just gets a little heavy fronted for me. Give her a little bit more extension, but a really nice doe here to round out the class. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Receiving first purple is Elizabeth Rice, second Morgan Rice, third Elizabeth Rice.
Let's give these guys a round of applause. They're doing a phenomenal job. When you get into this registered stuff, you can get a little bit different in terms of type and kinds on depending on what type of genetics you bring in, and then ultimately it just kind of leads down on what your preferences is. For me, I think there's two of them out here that are really unique in terms of their kinds. I'll go out and I'll select your Grand and Reserve.
Receiving champion breeding meat is Grant James, and reserve champion is Mila Vasquez. Now entering the ring would be Class 4 AOB yearlings. Class 4 AOB yearlings. First call, Class 5. First call, Class 5.
A really nice single entry here in our AOB, one you really like in terms of her condition, in terms of her center body, and you love how stout she is for her frame size, and really love her in terms of her structure. Let's give her a round of applause. She's doing a really good job tonight.
Receiving champion AOB yearling is Avery Keedy. Now entering the ring would be Class 5 commercial kids from September 21st of 25 to June of 26. First call, Class 6. First call, Class 6. Second call, class 6. Second call, class 1, class 7. First call, class 7, first call.
I apologize for taking a little bit longer on this class. There's just two different type and kinds in this class, and it's hard to separate them, and they're all so good in their own right, and they each represent something just a little bit different, and that's kind of where I was having trouble here on where I wanted to go. But for me, the young man with the traditional doe up front just has one that's just so cool in terms of look from the side. You like her in terms of angles. You put your hands on her, and for her frame size, she has tons of muscle up high and drops so much shape in terms of her leg, and is a really nice stout individual. Really nice one that reads real green in terms of her appearance in this class compared to two others, but a really nice one in terms of look and balance and structure. The young man that comes out next with the dapple one that's working really hard out here, and you can tell, and it's really paid off for him. You like her when she gets propped up, right when he bounces her and sets her right up. She levels right out over her top side. You like her in terms of femininity and how she lays in terms of her shoulder. When you get comparative, she just doesn't have as much from behind in terms of leg shape, but one you really like in terms of center body and rib shape. The young lady that comes out here with the traditional dapple one, you like her in terms of stoutness, and she matches the type of the one ahead of her, a long level made one. She just runs out of gas in this class comparatively to the ones ahead of them, but you really like of how long and level made this one is. The young man that rounds out the class, one you like in terms of shape of leg. For me, she's just so green in terms of this class. She reads the most immature in terms of rack shape over her top side, and I'd like to pick her up in terms of her front 1/3 to balance her out just a little bit more. She has the tendency of wanting to run downhill, but a really nice class here. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Receiving first purple is Henry Rasser, Corbin Kunk, and fourth, Silas Rasser. Now coming in would be Class 6. Second and final call for Class 7. Then we'll need the top two to come back to do Grand and Reserve Commercial. Entering the ring is Class 6. Entering the ring is Class 6. Second and final call for Class 7. Immediately following Class 7, we'll do Grand and Reserve Commercial Champion, and then we'll do Overall Champion Breeding Doe. Again, a schedule change. The Class 8, the Best Dressed Meat Goat, will follow after the Market Goat contest. The Best Dressed Meat Goat, Class 8, will follow after the Market Goat show.
A really nice class here, and on the handle is kind of where they sort themselves for me. I'll admit my class winner here has a lot of hair, but you put your hands on her and she still has so much shape up high. I wish she had some more down low comparatively to what she has, but she's by far the stoutest featured doe. That's really balanced from the side, and I love her in terms of her center body, one that just has so much power up high it's hard to pass up. A really nice one here to lead out the class. The one that comes out here next in second, you love this one on the handle, especially right behind the shoulders, and for what she has up high, she matches from behind. For me, I'd like to fix her in terms of her neck set, bring her up just a little bit higher, give her some more extension, just to balance her up just a little bit better from the side. It's just nitpicky things here that separate this pair for me. One of them that I really enjoyed when she came out was this paint doe. I love her in terms of structure, especially up front, how wide she is in terms of her base. I just wish she matched that from behind. She wants to get a little bit closed up when she sets her back feet, but one you really like on the handle as well. I'd like to see her just a little bit more leveler over her top side, but one that just has a lot of good to her. The one that comes out here next to round out the class, one that I would label giraffe fronted, geek fronted, whatever you want to call it, one that's so attractive from her last rib forward, and I really enjoy that about this doe. She just runs into a really powerful class. Comparatively, she needs to be a little bit stouter, a little bit more opened up, but one, I wish I could make front ends like this one. Just one that's real attractive about that front 1/3. Let's give them all a round of applause here. They're doing a really good job.
Receiving first purple is Leo Rasser. Second is Emma Wollenberg. Third purple is Henry Rasser. And fourth is Lila Ashweld. Following Class 7, we'll have the Grand and Reserve Commercial Champion. First and second of each class will need to come back and be ready. On deck.
A really nice single entry here, one you really like in terms of her from the side. She's really neat in terms of her angles, and you get your hands on her, and she has so much shape up high. Really nice single entry here that I think could withstand some competition. Excited to see her back out in the drive. Let's give them a round of applause.
Receiving purple is Silas Rasser.
Let's give these guys a round of applause. They brought some really phenomenal commercial does out here. Something that I haven't been able to really get a dabble in yet, and we're working our way towards it on our farm, so it's a really exciting thing for me. And I don't get to judge most of these, just because I get to judge more of the open shows that are registered, so I get to enjoy watching these guys go around the ring, just because it's a different type and something new to look at. For me, I think there's one of them that's just so well put together and has so much shape up high and so square in terms of her build, and I think it gets a little bit closer on where I want to go for reserve. I'll go out and I'll select your Grand and Reserve commercial doe.
Receiving Grand Champion Commercial is Silas Rasser, and Reserve Champion is Henry Rasser. Next will be Overall Champion Breeding Doe and Overall Reserve Champion Breeding Doe.
Let's give these guys a round of applause again. They're still doing a really good job. For me, I think there's one of them that just kind of matches up in terms of what I like to see in a doe, in terms of base width, in terms of rib shape and femininity, and then I think it's really close for reserve. And I wouldn't argue if you wanted to switch them either way. I'll go out and I'll select your Grand and Reserve doe.
Receiving overall champion breeding doe is Silas Rasser, and overall reserve champion breeding doe is Grant James. Congratulations. Now we'll be moving into our market goat program. Class 1 market goat. Class 1 market goat. First. Class 2, first call. Class 2, first call.
So apparently these were a Mother's Day gift. I mean, I wouldn't argue with some goats, but they all got stuck showing them. The young man up front is going to be your champion here. One that just has more shape over top side and just offers more to him, and reads really good in terms of his angles. And the one coming out here in second is a long-sided one, but you'd like to just see have a little bit more in terms of pin width. And the young lady that's going to round out here, one that's just a little bit greener in terms of his type and kind and just doesn't have as much shape from behind. Let's give them all a round of applause. They're doing a really great job here.
Receiving champion reserve pet goat is Grayson Kraus, and reserve champion pet goat is Landry Kraus. Congratulations. Now entering the ring will be Class 2 of market goats. Class 2, first call, Class 3. First call, Class 3.
Class 2, first call, Class 3. First call, Class 3. Class 2, 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 first c
Final call, class 3. Final call, class 3. First call, class 4. First call, class 4.
A really nice class here of market goats to start out with. The young ladies one is you would really like him on the handle. You put your hands on him and he just has so much shape over the top side of his skeleton, and he's a really wide-based wether. If I had to be picky on him, he's almost too wide up front. He gets a little bit out in terms of his shoulder, and he's not the most attractive from the side, but man, he has so much shape and he's so ripped over the top side for how young he is. Just one that's really hard to pass up in terms of that. Now, if you want a pretty wether from the side, the one in second's the one that you're going to go with, and honestly, you could switch them and I wouldn't argue with them. But for me, I'd like to see him just a little bit wider comparatively to the one ahead of him. He just gets a little bit narrower, and I'd like to see him firmer on the handle. He's just not as firm firm to the touch comparatively to the one ahead of them. It was nitpicky things here that separated them for me. Two really high quality weathers to lead out the class. The red one that comes out next, long, level, lean made weather. One that offers tons of good in terms of that. He just gets a little bit frailer about his feature, a little bit plainer about his look. He'd like to have some more shape in terms of his leg, but a really nice one to come out here next. The young lady with the traditional doe here, one that's also a long-sided one. For me, just reads plainer about her look, especially in terms of her hip, and wants to round out just a little bit more in terms of that, and gets a little bit frailer about her features, but one that offers tons of length and extension, and is really good in terms of that aspect. And then we got two lighter weathers that round out the class here. One that just need a little bit more time on feed. They're the younger, greener ones here. You give them 60, 90 days and they'll put on the pounds, and it can be completely different in terms of that in this class. Let's give them all a round of applause here.
Receiving first purple is Lila Ashfield. Second is Grant James. Third, Elizabeth Rice. Fourth, Brindley Pfeiffer. Fifth, Brendan Thim. And sixth, Emma Lane. Congratulations. Now entering class 3. Final call, class 4. Final call, class 4. First call, class 5.
The young lady that wins this class is not making my job easy tonight because I didn't have her winning, but every time I put my hands on him, he just gets better and better. She works and works and works this weather to get every ounce that she can out of him, and it truly played off in her favor tonight. You get your hands on him, and she has him set so well and so correct. He's just so ripped over the top side, and she just gets him to brace so well, and he's so tight in terms of his skin comparatively to what's in this class. A really nice, well put together weather that's just so attractive from the side. Young lady, you're doing a really phenomenal job still. Let's give her a round of applause here. The weather that comes out here in second, one that's really pretty in terms of the profile, is a really big backed weather. For me, I'd like to fix him a little bit more in terms of his structure, especially right behind his shoulder. He wants to dip pretty excessive, especially when you get him on the brace. He'd probably be better when you get off of him and let him just stand on the profile and then push into him on the brace when I get my hands on him. But he's such a stout-made, wide-constructed weather. I just wish he was firmer to the handle and leveler over his top side. It gets a little bit trickier on where you want to go next, and these two here kind of paired up in terms of type and kind. The young man that comes out here in third has one that just reads so correct in terms of his angles. You like how long-sided he is, and you put your hands on him and just reads real consistent in terms of muscle shape. I just wish he had more in terms of pin set and deeper in terms of his twist, but a really nice weather to come out here in third. The weather that comes out here next mimics the one in front of him in terms of look and design, but I'd like to fix this guy in terms of structure. I'd like to see him sit squarer at the ground, especially at his hocks. He gets a little bit tighter in terms of that as well. Just like to see him go on a little bit longer, more consistent stride, but a really nice weather to come out here next. The one that comes out and rounds out the class is a really lean-made weather that has tons of red meat to him, but he reads just a little bit plainer about his look, a little bit frailer in terms of his bone work, and just a little bit narrower comparatively to those ahead of him, but a really nice one here to round out the class. Let's give them all a round of applause.
First purple goes to Emma Wallenberg. Second place goes to Grant James, Leo Rasser, Silas Rasser, and Blake Tim. Now entering the ring is Class 4. Final call, Class 5. First call, Class 6. Just a quick reminder, families, for the 2026 4-H and FFA Market Livestock Premium Auction, the deadline for entering the auction is Saturday, 1 hour after the swine show. You must deliver the entry form to the fair office. If you need a sheet, come up to the announcer's table and we'll get you one. But again, just a reminder, that is due 1 hour after the swine show Saturday. Also, would like to thank the families and exhibitors for coming quickly and being prepared to go into the ring. It does make the show run efficient. Thank you.
A really nice class here. For me, the doe up front just wins this in terms of handle. Has so much expression and shape over her top side, has so much shape in terms of her leg. If I had to be really picky on this one, I'm not a fan of her structure whatsoever, but that's why she's in the market class division. She needs to set her rear two down square and more inside of her skeleton. She wants to throw her legs and get outside of herself at times, but in terms of mass, muscle shape, and rib shape, by far the class leader in terms of that. Really nice in terms of the profile. Really nice one here to win the class. The one that comes out here in second, one you really enjoy in terms of him on the profile, a long level Mayweather. You get your hands on him and just has so much shape over the top side. I just wish he had more from behind. He gets plainer about his hip comparatively to the one ahead of him, but one that's just super attractive from the profile. The weather that comes out here next in 3 and 4, very similar in terms of type and kind. They're really green in terms of their appearance, really youthful as well. I just wish they had more to them. Just gets a little bit out-horsed in terms of this class, but two really nice ones here that pair up in terms of type and kind, in terms of being consistent in terms of their power. Just reads really green in terms of their handle. The young lady that comes out here next, one that has one that has a lot in terms of center body, has tons of rib shape, but for me just reads super plain about her look. Once you get down in terms of her front 1/3, I think you pick her up in terms of her front skeleton, level her out, she'd easily move up a couple, and just in terms of handle, just like to see her balance up better from the side. The young lady that rounds out the class here, one you really appreciate in terms of handle, you like him in terms of his angles, especially up front. Reads so correct in terms of that. Just gets a little bit plainer out of his hip, gets a little bit more prominent in terms of his pin set. Just like to level him out in terms of that and pick him up in terms of his tail head, just to balance him up a little bit better from the side. Really good class. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Receiving all purples, Henry Rasser, Emma Wallenberg, Lena Ashwood, Corbin Kuntz, Reagan Pfeiffer, and Morgan Rice. Now entering the ring is Class 5. Final call, Class 6, final call, Class 6, and then we'll choose the overall champion and reserve champion market goat. First and second place from each class will need to be on deck. Just a reminder, after the selection of the overall champion and reserve market goat, we will have the best dressed meat goat class. Again, after the champion market goat and reserve, we'll have the best dressed meat goat class.
A really nice class here with tons of differences, and for me the top two here really sort themselves on the handle. The one that's going to win the class here, the young lady with the traditional one you really like from the side, offers tons of extension, length of body, and has tons of shape over the top side. What I really liked about this guy is how long he is in terms of his loin, from his last rib to his pin set. Is just really long and phenomenal in terms of that. One that just reads green from behind. I just wish he was a little bit more mature in his terms of his pattern, but a really nice one here to start off the class. The young lady that comes out here in second, one I'd like to see go on a little bit longer and more consistent stride. Just gets a little bit tighter in terms of his hock, but you really appreciate this one in terms of red meat. He has so much in terms of his center body, has so much in terms of rib shape, and you really appreciate that about him. Just a really nice stout weather to come out here in second. The one that comes out here next, one you also appreciate in terms from the side. At times I'd like to relax him in terms of his spine. He wants to get a little bit roached over his top side, but one you really like in terms of how fresh he is over his top side. He just comparatively gets a little bit narrower, a little bit frailer comparatively to the ones ahead of him, but a really nice one to come out here next. The one that comes out here in fourth resembles the one in second in terms of type and kind. For me, he just gets a little bit narrower to those ahead of him, and just reads a little bit plainer and staler over the top side. Just wish he was a little bit fresher in terms of his handle and a little bit more expressive. The one that comes out here next, one that has tons of center body and rib shape, but when you put your hands on him, just one that reads really plain in terms of muscle shape, and really plain in terms of his hip. Give this guy a little bit more time and push some feed to him and give him a really good exercise program. He has the structure and the body type, just is really green in terms of this class. Really nice class here. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Receiving all purples, Lila Ashweed, Elizabeth Rice, Jack Ashweed, Morgan Rice, and Landon Swanson. Now entering the class will be class 6 entering the ring. Just a reminder, we'll need the first and second from each of the market classes on deck here to choose the overall champion market and reserve.
A really nice class here of the heavier weight weathers. They're almost at the point where they're just pushing too much. But the one that wins the class here, I think he handles it the best in terms of look and design. By far the most attractive weather from the profile in this class. Has the most shape in terms of his leg and still fresh enough over the handle. Really nice big centered weather here to start out the class. The one that comes out here in second, one you really appreciate on the handle, stout made weather that just offers tons of good in terms of rib shape. When you get comparative, I'd like to see him a little bit more extended from his pin set to his tail head to balance him out a little bit more and offer some more extension back there, and drop some more shape in terms of his leg comparatively to the one ahead of him, but two really nice weathers here to start out the class. The young lady that comes next with the paint weather, one you appreciate on the handle, really firm to the touch, just gets a little bit plainer in terms of look, wants to run a little bit more downhill, and I'd like to level him out in terms of his pin set, but a really nice weather to come out here next. The young man that brings out the doe in the class, one you like in terms of length of body and super level, and you like him when you put your hands on him. Just gets a little bit plainer, a little bit frailer about her look, wants to get open on the top side of her shoulder, but a really nice one in terms of red meat there. The one that comes out here next, another doe, another long-sided one you really like in terms of how long she is in terms of her loin, but gets a little bit narrower as she tracks, and gets a little bit frailer in terms of her design, but a really nice one to come out here next. The young man that comes out with the traditional weather, one you like in terms of profile, really nice in terms of balance, just gets plainer in terms of his handle, just wish he was firmer to the touch. The one that rounds out the class here, one that's super youthful in terms of her design, really correct in terms of her angles and gets out and goes with plenty of flex and ease, but needs to be firmer to the touch and needs to have more shape in terms of her hip comparatively to those ahead of her. Let's give these guys a round of applause.
This class receiving all purples. First, Grant James, Myla Vasquez, Elizabeth Rice, Bentley Myers, Ryer Myers, Hudson Swanson, and Nora Ashreed. Congratulations. Next, we'll be going through the overall champion market goat and reserve champion market goat.
So let's give these guys a round of applause. They've done a phenomenal job all night. I've never been one for grand drive speeches, and I didn't give one in the doze. I usually give it in the last one of the day. But I want to thank my parents back home and my boyfriend back home. They take care of everything while I get to go out and do this for fun on the weekends. Just something I get to enjoy, and I grew up in the industry, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the next 10, 15, 20 years and later down the road. Make sure you guys are thanking your families at home or whoever helps you. I don't think I ever thanked my mom and dad enough for all that they sacrificed for me and was able to let me go out and do everything and show all the time. So make sure you guys are thanking everybody. It takes a village to get where you are, and it takes a lot of hard work, money, and dedication. So with that being said, there's two of them out here that are just my type and kind in terms of power and shape and look and design. I'll go out and I'll select your Grand and Reserve Market Goat.
Congratulations, Grand Champion goes to Henry Rasser, and Reserve Champion goes to Emma Lane. Congratulations. We will now follow up with the Best Dressed Meat Goat. And while we're waiting, I will go ahead and read off the ultrasound, the top 5 winners. Top 5 winners of the ultrasound market goat. First place goes to Landon Swanson. Second place goes to Hudson Swanson. Third place goes to Morgan Rice. Fourth goes to Elizabeth Rice. And fifth place goes to Emma Wallenberg. Let's give them a round of applause. All right. We have Grant James, Grayson, Byrne, Corinne, and Avery. Are we ready? All right, let's entering the ring is Best Dressed Meat Goat.
Okay, we're gonna go around so they can tell me what they are and who they are. What's your name?
Avery.
And what are you and your goat?
My goat's corn, and I'm a farmer.
Well, you're doing a really good job. What's your name?
I'm Grayson Byrne.
And what are you?
We are the $7 meal deal from DQ.
Oh, that's my favorite. Hi, what's your name?
Corinne.
And what are you?
I'm also with the $7 meal deal from DQ.
Oh, so you get a hot dog and fries and ice cream and a turkey? Chicken, my bad. What's your name?
Grant.
And what are you?
I'm Vincent Van Gogh.
This is always just such a fun competition. I remember growing up, they had this at ABGA Nationals, and I was Superman with a super goat, and because she didn't walk on all 4 feet, so she was always in the air with a Superman cape. So it's always fun to see what you guys can come up with. There's some really cool ones out here. I'm going to go out and I'll select your Grand and Reserve.
Congratulations. Champion goes to Grayson Byrne. Reserve goes to Corinne Byrne. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. We appreciate your time, and thank you to our judge, Danielle Funk. Thank you.